We're on. Are you ready?
Yep.
Hi, this is the talk with. Actually, we changed the name of the show. Hold on one second. It's red. Hello, everybody. This is Brett Davis with the Brett Davis Show. We just changed the name recently. We're doing a lot of changes to the show. I'm very honored today to have Alicia Summers from Channel 8, who I've been a fan of years watching you. Your show, every time you're on, very professional, and you have always, even when you're on the field, I've seen you in the field in the past. What do you
Yeah.
prefer? What do you prefer doing?
I like a mix of both. It keeps it interesting, never a boring moment. So mixing it up on the desk and out in the field is a great mixture of my career.
Well, I mean, with your busy schedule, I appreciate you taking the time. And some of the things we're going to chat about today are juggling, being a parent, being a person that works, you and your husband, and then you have a very active life.
Mhm.
Uh, Give us a little background. So, at one time, you were a Raiderette.
Yes, in another life, I was a Raiderette straight out of high school.
What a great opportunity! Because I have some family members that were cheerleaders. One for I think it was for the Seahawks.
Okay.
And then I have another friend that was for the Chargers in the day when they were in town.
Uh-huh.
But that's a very interesting job. I mean, it has a lot of skill sets involved. It's not just the physical aspect. There's a lot of probably tell us some of the benefits of that job for you and how it's benefited you to what you do today.
Well, I was 19 at the time, so I think I was the youngest member on the squad when I made the team, and I was thrown into a whole nother world, nothing like I was ever used to, being in the NFL and being in that realm, and it was quite the experience of a lifetime. I mean, we were taken everywhere and we got to meet all sorts of people, and the performance, just going out on the field on game day, that kind of energy and adrenaline rush that you get is something that I've never experienced before, and it's really hard to explain. You don't really know what it's like until you actually experience it. But it was incredible. We went to Hawaii for our calendar shoot. We would we would be sent to different charity events, so we would perform. We would have to do our community service and charity events as well. So it wasn't just game day halftime shows. It was so much more. It was a whole season of just being involved in the community and everything. It was great.
Well, yeah, and I mean, one thing I can tell you is being a Raider fan, huge following,
Mhm.
from, not just the United States, but just from around the world. And I can't even imagine that you were a rock star. You're still a rock star, by the way.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm glad I was on their side because they are so diehard. And going to the Oakland Stadium, I remember it was gridlocked getting there on game day, and I would carpool with some of the other girls. And in order to get through the traffic, we would put out our silver pom poms out the car window and just shake it. And then it would be like a firefighter siren, like the traffic would just part for us, and then we would make it to the Coliseum on time.
So how did that now when you were doing that at 19? I mean, I know most people don't know what they're going to be doing in their lives at 19. I have a friend from kindergarten that knew he was going to be a fighter, firefighter
Uh-huh.
at the age in kindergarten. We used to talk about it all the time. He was going to, and he became the chief of Chula Vista.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
I
my
mean, some
partner
people
was
just know.
a police officer, so
You wanted to be a police officer?
he wants to be a police officer. He traded sides and not
Okay.
be like dad, firefighter dad anymore. He wants to be a police officer or in the military. So we'll see how far that goes.
Very admirable either way. Our first responders and our people that give to their country. I mean, it's so. What would we do without them? They're the real heroes.
Exactly. So I let him do what he wants. I encourage it.
That's phenomenal. So when you were the Raiderette during that time, how many years did you say you were doing that for?
It was one season, and then I went to college.
When did you realize you wanted to be get into news?
In early on, I would say maybe in high school, even before college, I
Wow.
always in that. Yeah.
So
So
you manifested it.
Sort of, yeah. My parents didn't really support it. I mean, they were big news watchers, so I was forced into that. I think at a young age when I didn't really care so much about news, but I think because they watched it so much, I was kind of exposed and by default became interested and knew a lot about it. So they wanted me to go a different route. Either they wanted me to go to law school. So that was my plan through college to go to law school. I was pre-law everything. And then I interned at a law firm and decided that is not something that I was interested in. It's not something I wanted to do. So I started interning at actually a local competitor station here when I was at UC San Diego and got a tape made. Took some classes at City College because ironically, UC San Diego had no broadcasting
Wow.
classes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I couldn't get any broadcasting experience at my university. So I took some broadcasting classes at City College that helped me get my tape together. And then I got hired in Yuma, and I just thought I would just take a risk against my parents' wishes, give it a try because that's something I really wanted to do. And then after Yuma, it was Fresno and then San Diego. And I've been happy and I'm glad I did that.
So what was your degree in at UCSD?
Political science.
I love that. I love political science. Isn't that a phenomenal? I took political science at City College, by the way,
Oh, yeah.
and I
Yeah,
took radio classes there.
it's a good base, a good degree to have because you can use it in
Yeah,
anything. Really.
you can, and there's a lot of writing involved.
Yes, a lot of writing, which is funny because my essays and my midterms and my finals would be like 20-page papers. And then you get into news and they want you to write 20-second stories. So I had to unlearn everything I learned in college when I got into my career.
You know, there's a lot of people that I think you're a great role model for women, for anybody that wants to, go after their dreams and their goals. But the thing that we're going to talk about today, and we've kind of just giving some broad strokes of kind of what you've done, because I mean, I can't even imagine. There's always a deeper story with everything when you're climbing like you have. It's kind of like a triathlon, right? No pun intended, because I know you do those too.
Yeah, very much so. Yep.
So you get your degree, you get into the news, and then you get married. And so how did that work out? I mean, you probably weren't thinking about it, right? You probably were career based, I would think.
Yes, yes. I was married to my career. In Fresno is when I met my husband, but I was in San Diego visiting some college friends, and they knew Jason, and that's how we met. My friends introduced us, and we after that we did the long distance relationship for 9 months. He proposed to me after 3 months.
Wow.
We were, yeah. It's when you know, you know. It sounds cliche, but that was totally us. And and then a year later we were married, and I actually quit my job in Fresno. I was still under contract. I had to quit and not work in the industry for a year because that's what my contract said. I had to wait for that to expire since I was leaving early. But my industry is weird. It's unlike any other industry. So on my last day, they decided they would let me go and be free to search for another job in the industry. And then a few days later, I had an interview at Channel 8, CBS 8. And then a week later, I was working at Channel 8, CBS 8.
Sounds like destiny.
Yeah, it worked out. It really did. It was a big risk, but it worked.
With that being said, you put a lot of hard work into this. I don't want people to think that you just, it was just luck, because I think people create luck by hard work.
Oh, yeah. I mean, starting in Yuma, Arizona for 2 years, that was a shock. That was a shocker. I mean,
No,
talk
I have
about
family.
weeping out the week.
I know Yuma. I have family there.
Yeah, and I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then I lived here in San Diego. So I lived a pretty sheltered life in these nice cities, and then moving to a small town like Yuma, and then living there with nobody. I didn't know anybody. It was a brand new career. I went in major depression. Like I was clinically depressed, and it took a lot of hard work to come out of that depression and stick with it and not give up. And I didn't give up, obviously. And then a couple of years later, I got hired in Fresno, which was a little bit better. I had more friends there. It was closer to home. And then I think I was there for 4 years, 3 or 4 years, and then San Diego.
We're
So
lucky. We're lucky to have you, and you are a diamond for San Diego media. We think the world of you. You're totally
thank you.
professional. You cut to the chase on everything. I watch Channel 8 news, by the way.
Mhm.
I watch a lot of the stations, but I always seem to gravitate back to 8 because everybody seems more, how do I say? I don't want to say real, more. I don't know. I just connect more with Channel 8. I don't know what the reason is.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we've been around for a long time. I think
Yeah.
we're the longest standing news station here, and we have the most viewership, I believe, in San Diego.
Does not surprise me. So you have a family now
Yes.
because you're married to your wonderful husband.
Hmm.
Tell me how. First of all, what are their ages?
My boys are 5 and 3.
Wow. So you're burning more calories than normal.
Yeah, just running after them. I don't need to
Right.
go to the gym anymore.
No, you don't. That's your COVID's worked out well for you.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So you're juggling husband, kids, and of course there's the whole homeschool thing, right?
Yes. Well, fortunately, we are in that unique age group where they were able to stay in their daycare slash preschool, which is, I mean, we pay a lot of money for that, but it's technically a daycare. So those were allowed to stay open, I would say, immediately after the pandemic started. I think we had a 2 week period where they were at home and we were working at home, and it was the most stressful time ever. And then the essential daycares reopened so that I wouldn't have to quit my job, because that's where it was going. If they were staying home, I would have to quit my job.
What a I can't even imagine what it would be like. I mean, that career. I mean, when you have your own kids, I mean that's the number one thing, right? I mean, because it's all about family.
Oh, absolutely. And what choice do parents have if they can't send their kids to school? They don't have childcare. They don't.
Can you imagine the everyday family trying to cope with trying to have a way to do what you're doing? I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you sympathize because you understand.
Yeah, and I've interviewed families who are going through that struggle and were going through that struggle, and a lot of them did have to scale back hours at work or go part time because they just had no other option.
So how do you juggle? And your husband, of course, is in the fire department. He's a chief, and
Right.
I can't even imagine what that job would be like because it's got a lot of moving components that things that I probably could never even relate to. But then you come together, you have your wonderful family. How challenging is it? Would have to be. It is. How challenging has it been for you to be able to duck and move, kind of like a boxer in a way, to be able to find a way to do all these varieties of things and still feel like you've done the best job you can?
Yeah, being married to a firefighter, I mean, we both have abnormal schedules. We do not have the Monday through Friday 9 to 5 schedule. So I work every weekend. Sometimes he does too. So we have a bunch of babysitters that have to come. And during the week, fortunately, we have our daycare and our preschool, and that's taken care of. But sometimes, if there's a big fire, for example, and I get called out and I have to do an extra long day, and Jason gets called out, then we have to call on grandma and grandpa, Jason's parents, who live in Temecula. So it is a trek, but they'll come during an emergency situation like that, which we've had a few. So it's hard.
Well, first of all, my hat goes off to Jason for all the wonderful things he does. We love our firefighters. We honor. Actually, we have awards that we do for the everyday hero, and we call, of course, firefighters are just what they do is just amazing. Just so with all the fires we have in San Diego,
Right.
and it's an endless like what you do and what you do too. So how do you combine when you do have the time off? Do you do things together? Hiking or as a family. How do you find ways to do everything in one shot?
We do. We try our best whenever Jason and I both have a day off on a Monday or Tuesday, because that Monday and Tuesday are my days off. So when we're both off on those days, we're able to pull the kids out of school because it doesn't matter so much since they're at this age, and we'll have a family day. So we'll take them everywhere. We took Jaden, my 3-year-old, to Catalina for his third birthday, and got one of those socially distanced cabanas on the beach, and that was a blast. And then it's challenging during the pandemic this year. We're talking about their birthdays this year because we couldn't have the traditional birthday party with other kids. So we took Jaden there, and that was cool because it was just so intimate and a special family vacation we made out of it. And then Ashton, for his 5th birthday, we took him to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. They have like a private safari where they'll just take you and your family around, and then you have a cabana in the safari park too, which is a new option. So it's all these socially distanced options now that places are offering.
So you're also tell us about some of your passions that you do, you and your husband and your family, that just part of your staple. It just seems to get you. It's like your therapy. What is it you do to keep yourself sane?
So Jason and I were both heavily involved in triathlons. This year is the exception because all the triathlons were canceled. But our jam was traveling for triathlons, and we did that. I think we started doing it before my firstborn was even 1. So that was my goal. Like, okay, I had a baby. I'm going to get back in shape, and we're going to do a triathlon. So we did that, and we never stopped. And that was 5 years ago. So, and we just kept going and going and going. Then I got pregnant again, and then that kind of put my triathlon hobby on hold. And then Jason was able to advance to do the Ironman, and we went to Ireland for that. So he did his first Ironman in Ireland. And then it was my goal to do an Ironman after I had my second, because that kind of slowed me down a little bit. But then the pandemic happened. So maybe in 2021 or 2022, I could do that.
So I've done a couple triathlons in the day, and I do want to, my goal is to do some Ironmans, by the way. I still want to get some done before it's time to move on to the next area of life. But so what is it about the triathlon that you both gravitated towards? What is it about it that you like?
Well, San Diego is the birthplace for triathlons. So we have the perfect climate to train. Swimming I never would swim in the ocean unless I had a reason for it. And I think training is the perfect reason to get me out there. It's that motivation, that fire that burns underneath me to get me going. So that's very enjoyable. We love road biking out. I mean, we live in the perfect area for it. And also running. We train at Lake Miramar all the time. So our city kind of lended itself to working out outside. And that also is not just a physical challenge, but as a triathlete, it's a mental challenge too, because it's so long and there are 3 back-to-back events. So you just kind of have to keep pushing yourself mentally.
So the triathlons, of course, started from San Diego. As a lot of people don't know, we are I think it's the capital of triathletes as far as city, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Have you been doing any types of training at all during the pandemic?
I have pretty much dropped everything. Sadly, I'll run on the treadmill indoors, because outdoors is sketchy. And then when I do go outdoors and it's at Lake Miramar, I love Lake Miramar. So I'll still run around the lake, but that's pretty much it.
Well, you look like you're
very
staying,
depressing.
you look phenomenal. You look fantastic. So for people out there that are not being able to train, you should use a treadmill. Are you doing any other types of exercises besides the treadmill?
Yeah, we have a small pool. I try and do like stationary laps in, but that gets old. And when you're not working towards a goal, kind of kills your motivation. So I stopped doing that. But I mean, I hate working out. I like working out if it's disguised with fun. So we love going on hikes around here. I love doing dances, choreography. I mean, dancing is where it all started. So I try with TikTok and everything. I think it makes editing and dancing to music easier nowadays. So that's another fun workout that I try.
Now that we know that you're on TikTok, I'm going to have to.
I'm private though. I'm private. You can't find me on TikTok, but I'll post some of the highlights on Instagram. Instagram is where I mainly hang out.
Well, if you do your TikTok stuff, you could use another name. You could change your identity the way you look. Nobody has to know it's you. And that way you can get away with it and do your thing still, right?
Yeah, I just felt embarrassed being on TikTok because everybody there is in their, early 20s and they're teenagers. And here I am, mom in her 30s. I just felt like I didn't fit, but it's still fun.
Well,
Some of it's still fun.
you look like a teenager still, so that's a good thing.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
But I also think that, from what I'm understanding, TikTok is eventually going to be, from what I'm hearing from the rumblings, is going to be one of the top sites to go to in the next couple of years.
Oh, really? I did not hear that.
And it's going to cross. It's going to go into different age groups. I hear the people that are older are going to be going to it, and so of course the teenagers are going to get angry and going. By then, we'll be on another site.
Something else. Yep.
What inspiration or ideas for women out there that are thinking about a career of their passion? Maybe they're not getting the support, or maybe somebody doesn't believe in what they're doing. What tidbit of advice could you give women out there looking to go into their careers?
Into my industry in specific?
Well, just maybe they have a passion and maybe there's something they want to go for. Maybe they're afraid because they're not getting the support. What advice would you give them?
I didn't have the support either.
I know.
You just have to do it and don't stop and don't quit.
Even
though it's hard, you have to know like there's the end in sight, and all that hard work will eventually amount to something.
Well, I'm very honored that you were on the show and your busy schedule, all the juggling. You're able to get some quiet because I haven't heard anything in the background. It's amazing how you're able to do that.
The kids are at school. They're at school today.
Okay,
Even on MLK Day, they're in school because it's their private school.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're learning about MLK today, so that's their curriculum.
That's an amazing. You have an amazing story. I'm sure there's a lot more. I look forward to watching all the great things you're going to do because I think you and your husband are great examples to couples out there. And let's definitely stay in touch. And thank you for what you do at Channel 8. And you do a wonderful job. And it's an honor to have you on our show, Alicia Summers.
Brett, thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. You take care of yourself.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was Alicia Summers at Channel 8. And of course, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Attorney King, for wonderful things he does for IQ Podcasts. He, of course, we named the studio after King. Thank you, King. Also, thank you to Indian Motorcycle and Tim Broadhead for what you do. And of course, the gym, a wonderful partner and friend of the show. I'd also like to thank IB Fitness, and Marina has also a top podcast show with us. You got to watch it sometime. It's an amazing show. Also like to thank Serrano's of Coronado with some of the best burritos in town. Very good Mexican food. And I'd like to also thank Sequan for their support, and we'll be doing our teachers event with Sequan in April. We'll have a better date as time comes along. And to all of you, thank you for watching the Brett Davis Show here at Beautiful IQ Podcast. Everybody have a great day.